Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question's to the Minister for Parks. Minister, your government's corrupted and unpopular expressions of interest process for development in public protected areas has been dealt another blow. We've got the federal court judgment here and it is damning. Minister, will you admit you and your agency were complicit in engineering on behalf of the proponent a flawed Commonwealth approval to get around the Environment Protection Biodiversity Conservation Act and deny Aboriginal Tasmanians, anglers, bushwalkers, wilderness guides, conservationists and everyday Tasmanians a say on the Lake Malbena proposal?
Yeah.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister for Parks.
Yeah.
Is that the full title, Minister?
For Environment, Parks and Heritage.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Look, I thank the member for her question and begin by, first of all, rejecting absolutely, outright, the assertions that she has made. I have read the judgment. I have read the judgment. It is obvious. It is obvious that you haven't. It is obvious that you haven't. Madam Speaker, what the judgment does, in simple terms, is it simply sets aside the current federal decision and to allow the parties to actually negotiate on the conditions that were brought forward voluntarily by the proponent in the first place. That's what the judgment does. And for the member to characterise it as anything other, quite frankly, just takes us to exactly where the Greens want to be, and that is that they want to have a full frontal attack on a young Tasmanian family that is doing its best to establish a world-class tourism venture that will create jobs and opportunity for Tasmanians, Madam Speaker. That's what's happening, Madam Speaker. It is a full frontal attack by the Greens, the Wilderness Society and those others that would join with them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me put some facts on the table first and foremost. Halls Island has had a lease on it for a long period of time. It is not pristine wilderness. It sits within pristine wilderness, but Halls Island is not. It has had human intervention, Madam Speaker, for a long period of time. And what the Hacketts have proposed, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that when the public and those that want to visit the island can visit the island under their management plan, they have allowed for more Tasmanians to see the island than have seen it previously, and importantly, not have to carry their waste out because they will be able to use the very modest facilities that the Hacketts are intending to put in place on the island, Madam Speaker. I reject outright your assertions, and you should be called for what you're attempting to do, and that is simply to bully, to frustrate, to take on a young Tasmanian family that is doing their very best under very difficult circumstances, Madam Speaker, to establish a world-class tourism asset, Madam Speaker, that will enable more people to see the best of Tasmania, Madam Speaker, under appropriate circumstances, and for her to characterise it as she has, quite frankly, is misleading.